Greetings. My name is Dr. Waddell Brooks, Sr., your host, and this is Community Forum. We have an exemplary person for you this evening, and I would like for you to call your neighbors because we're going to have 1 hour of fun. We're going to be talking about community concerns, and probably most of those concerns will be about the city of North Chicago. Mr. Charles January Jr., he's a former alderman, as a matter of fact, the 7th Ward in North Chicago, and recently was elected Shields Township trustee. Good evening, Trustee January.
How are you, Dr. Brooks? Nice to see you again.
Very happy that you have taken time from your very busy schedule to be with us on the Community Forum.
Okay.
And ladies and gentlemen, as you know, we have an outstanding co-host, Tara Thomas. She's back by popular demand. You have requested her to be with us. And by doing so, the ratings for Community Forum are sky high. Wow. So thank you very much for listening. Mr. January, you have caused what we call it visibility in North Chicago for the citizens of Lake County.
Yes, sir.
To let them know just what is going on in city council meetings. So maybe I should start off. You're a former alderman yourself.
Yes,
of 4 years.
No, 2 years.
2 years,
yes,
okay. Sir. And now you're elected Shields Township trustee, so you're very active, But yes, what piqued your interest to get involved in politics?
Well, I must say, Dr. Brooks, thank you for that. What first started me off in politics, I had an alderman in Waukegan. His name is Robert Evans.
Yes.
He was the first ward alderman. I lived in that ward, and he was just everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Every time there was a problem, he was there. Mm-hmm. When it wasn't a problem, he was there. Mm-hmm. And I always thought, when I grow up, I want to be an alderman.
Okay.
So I have to give it to him, Robert Evans, and Mayor Sabanjan in Waukegan. They talked to me about politics, and I thought about politics, and I thought, when I become older, I want to be an alderman.
Robert Evans Sr.
Yes.
Okay. Is he related to our Alderman Evans in North Chicago?
They're brothers.
Brothers and sisters.
Oh, they're brothers.
Brother, sister.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah.
And the fact is, and I got to say, Betty Thomas, the former mayor of North Chicago, I would talk to her, and we would have debates about things, but I really thought, now I want to be mayor because of her.
Okay.
So it was alderman, and when I became an alderman, I talked to Mayor Thomas, and I thought, you know something, to really change the community, I want to be a mayor. So that's what got me piqued at wanting to become a mayor. And I didn't make it, and this is my first opportunity, Dr. Brooks, and Community North Chicago, to say thank you. I did receive 44% in the election.
A very close election.
Yeah, very close.
Election. But I want to thank the individuals that voted for me, and I want to thank the ones that didn't vote for me for being part of the process. But Dr. Brooks, and course, I must say to the citizens, we as North Chicagoans, even Lake Countyans, we need to have more community involvement.
Okay.
Because, and I'm going to stay on this theme for the rest of my life, as we can get to 5,000 individuals voting in election, then our state office holders, shareholders, our county, our country, we get more attention. If you're less than 5, not that the votes don't count, but when a congressman or a state representative or a state senator or a U.S. senator is looking at a community to do something, they have to see numbers. And if they don't see numbers, they see 2,500, 3,100, that's a shame. When you have a town that has 32,000 plus. Same with Waukegan, that was a shame. Waukegan only had a 7,000 vote turnout.
And a population of
almost 100,000.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Well, I'm glad to see that during the past election, the one we just had in November, the candidates did not ignore the community. I mean, Bob Dole was here constantly. Snyder came out occasionally. I know Roundup, a lot of people in here. So you had a lot of people paying, a lot of political, who did win.
Yes.
And they favored these communities. So they
Yes.
did, listen to the citizens. They came out. Now we can only hope they do what they said they were going to do.
Talk about this, though. That's the only time they're in the community, though,
That's true.
is during the election.
That's true. But how you, Dr. Brooks, how you galvanize and how do you get the politicians or the office holders to come back is you have to have the numbers. What Mr. Hood, what she was telling me about was wonderful. The city came together. They had a meeting at the Park District. I didn't know about that meeting or I would have attended. But what's important is you can't just talk about it. You have to have a plan. And unfortunately in North Chicago, we're still stuck with no plan.
Now, first of all, I'd like to go back on David Hood. He had not only leaders in North Chicago, but
Right.
Tara, you can.
I was
you
there.
were
He had leaders throughout the community. You know, the
Captain
Roslyn,
James A. Lovell.
Yeah,
Healthcare
there's from the
Center,
hospital, from Rosalind Franklin Medical School. There was doctors there. There were Abbott Lab, the utility companies. I don't know how that young man pulled all that together, or if the mayor had something to do with it. I really
that
don't.
had to be from Rockingham. So I would
but
have to
from-
say that because Rosalind Franklin,
Well,
Captain
he
Lovell.
said that he went out to these people one-on-one. He also went to, like, what was interesting, now this sounds strange, but the people who own the gas stations, as crazy as that makes it, they were there. And they were saying that he was in there constantly putting flyers and refurbishing. So they decided that they want to come. So whatever his cause was, he was able to motivate the community
well, I
and
appreciate
bring
that.
them all.
You know, and then
And it was positive.
I want to
It was
say, but
positive.
I guess, and you said a theme that I keep hearing in the community about being positive. I don't want to be considered always the one that's negative, but if you don't have a plan, that's like being in the middle of an ocean without a rudder. If you don't have a plan, and unfortunately, North Chicago has had no plan since 1999, no strategic plan, you have to have a comprehensive plan first.
Well, the
That's
mayor
with all
has
your
talked
shareholders.
about
You talk-
some things in terms of, like, maybe you can address
But
this.
Tara, talking
They-
about it, you gotta have, if you don't have a strategic plan with the school and the park involved with an overall plan, you're not planning anything. Because this entity has one thing. North Chicago, it should be about the children.
Well,
And when you talk about the children and the seniors, the two most vulnerable places are the babies and the seniors. And there's no plan for either group.
Now, are you familiar with the Marion Jones, that they're tearing that down?
Yes, ma'am.
My understanding, and maybe you can address this, I don't know if you can,
Okay.
that they're going to rebuild it with nice middle-class homes?
I would love to address that. And I want to thank Dr. Waddell Brooks, Sr., because he brought it to my attention when I was an alderman. Unfortunately, I don't believe that's ever going to happen. I must tell you, for what I do know, and I looked into it, Tara, it's going to take about $12 million to refurbish that place.
Okay.
To tear it down and to bring it back is going to be approximately $52 million.
Well, the man who's in charge of tearing it down, he was at that meeting last Thursday.
Okay.
I'm not sure, he didn't live in this community, a Caucasian gentleman, but he was there to address that.
Okay, but the addressing, Tara,
But he was only there
address
for
it to
tearing it down.
tearing it down.
Just
Correct.
for tearing it down.
You have to have a reason, and I kept hearing the mayor's theme, and Dr. Brooks can chime in anytime. Mr. Northern was away from our community. He's back here now, but there was no plan. It was haphazard, and when it said it was going to get, it got reported in the newspaper. The people were up in arms. Dr. Brooks got to it. I made some phone calls, and I found out it was just a draft. But what they did, because Dr. Brooks shed light on it, they had to do it a different way, Tara. What they had to do is send vouchers in and say you have this place, and this place to move. And if you don't move there, you're out of the program.
So is that why so many citizens are now living in Round Lake?
Different the communities, and it
I
hurt
see.
our impact aid because we lost approximately almost over 200 students,
130.
130. But that's still a significant number.
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely. So you
Absolutely.
can't help a system that's not working and take the means from it because that's where you get the money from. It's the enrollment.
But I see why you say 200, because we lost 130 from Marion Jones, and then they lost around 50 from Learn 6, because those students didn't come back.
Correct.
Because they went to other communities to go to school. So that is approximately 200.
It's 200.
So
But
there you go.
but the bottom
Okay,
line is
okay.
you have to look at the impact to the community. You can't talk education if you're constantly taking away. You just can't. And back to a comprehensive plan, all of that, those things should be, the leaders of the school, the park, and the city should have a master plan. That's the comprehensive plan. And if you don't have that, you don't have nothing.
I
You're
know
just
Mr.
talking.
Mr. Nimrod spoke about that. What's his title, though?
He's the city planner for the city of North Chicago.
Planner. He
Excellent
mentioned
young
that at the
man.
last meeting, city
Okay.
council meeting, that the plan had been collecting dust since 1990,
1999.
1999.
Yes, sir.
He
So
said
you,
they just started
but you
working on it
can't
now.
tell me that you're a mayor of substance, and you talk about things like they're going to happen, and nothing happens.
But be honest now, the Marion Jones is a Lake County Housing Authority
Yes, it is.
project,
It's a
not the
property.
city.
No, but it's still housed in North Chicago. So
In North Chicago
if it's
citizens,
housed in
yeah.
North Chicago, and they're going to tear it down, and they're telling me it's going to be a third impoverished individuals,
Mm-hmm.
a third middle class individuals, a mixed community, and they're going to have a grocery store and all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That's pie in the sky. Let's talk practicality. To bring any grocery store in, you have to have a minimum of $75 spent 2 times a week for a grocery store even pays attention to you. So if you don't have that as a base, what do you have? You have nothing. You have pie in the sky. I would love to have the richest, and I'm going to say this as part of my theme forever, we have the richest street in the state of Illinois. We have Buckley Road, which is the entrance exit to the United States Navy. We have approximately 1,500 to 6,000 people graduating every week with dead presidents in their pocket, and they spend their money in Gurnee. I love Gurnee, but
Yeah.
that's where they spend their money. So if you look at that road, 80% of that road doesn't belong to the city of North Chicago. That's in Shield Township also. So now that I'm in a position, I want to ask the federal government, maybe please have some of that property back.
Well, you know, there is a group that's in North Chicago. I'm sorry, excuse me, that's in Lake Forest, Christ Church. Now, they have
Beautiful
bought up
church.
a considerable amount of property in North Chicago. And not only are they buying it, they're refurbishing it, they're renovating it, and they're moving their parishioners into these homes.
That's beautiful.
So that's coming. I think they've committed to 25 homes.
Okay, well, what, Tara, that's a wonderful.
And they
wonderful-
are moving in.
I understand. That's a wonderful thing. But the thing that would be more advantageous to me is let's start educating the folks that are there.
That's
If
true.
you have
That's true.
a city that says you can't grow your lawn like this, you can't leave it like that, just conformity. Do things to bring conformity. And then once you get conformity and you say, this is our plan, and maybe we not hit the plan, the goal, but if you're showing progress toward it. I know as a business person trying to bring a business into North Chicago, I would have to be almost crazy to want to bring my business in North Chicago. And we have to change the image. Image comes from plan. Plan comes from this is what we're looking for. If we can get Buckley Road back in North Chicago, I can promise you a number of things we would have. We would have possibly H-E-B Foods grocery store chain. We'd have possibly a Dave & Buster's because we have the numbers.
I think they're trying to start. I know that Representative Rita Mayfield, I think she was able to get a $250,000, $100 or $250,000.
$125,000.
It's a $125,000 grant. So that's a start. I know that's no money when it comes to a grocery store, but at least it's a starting point. Greg White brought in Learn 6. You mentioned education to start to help that. Forrestal School on the base was rated one of the top schools in the country just last year. So we have 2 elementary schools. Now that's not enough because that's just elementary school. We definitely need to do a whole rollover of our middle school and our high school. And hopefully there are 2 charter schools coming that for high school that will give people an alternative to that. But then you've got your CEO who might be, he's opposed to that. You know, so we've got to get the parents involved. So I think what you're saying is wonderful, but we've got to get the parents to get outward to get out and verbally say, we want better for our children. We want a better alternative school for our children. We want a grocery store for our seniors. Because, for young people, they can drive to Waukegan. But I was surprised, as many were to learn as an educator here, that there was no grocery store. And there's a lot of seniors here and may not be able to get out, and when it's snow and ice, don't want to go that far. So what's your proposal for that?
Well, let me go back to that. We used to have Jewel grocery store. We used to have AMP, but you have to look at the numbers. If you, and I do have to say that our Shield Township supervisor just brought a lady in that has a nonprofit store in Chicago. It just burned down recently, and she was thinking about relocating to North Chicago.
Right, she told me that.
If we have individuals to come in that want to do things like that, let's bring them up. Let's have an economic development, our economic development person go after grants that can do those things.
Do we have an economic developer person in North Chicago?
Unfortunately, we do.
Do you know his name?
I don't know it offhand, but his salary is over
Is it Lance?
Lance, I can't think of
think
his
it's
last
Ron
name.
Lance.
Yeah, but
Lance?
he's
Been here since May, I believe.
it's over.
He's new.
Yeah, but it's over $80,000 salary. You can't. Okay. Being in that seat, you can't bring a person in at $80,000 and give them no budget to work with. In my opinion, you give, and it's only my opinion, you give him a minimum salary of $40,000, and we give him a fund of $50,000. Now he can do something with. And you say, if you go and get us this type of business, here's your incentive. Like we have this beautiful spot down here that's supposed to be shovel ready. It's not. They've done what they can to cap it.
The Sheridan Crossing.
On Sheridan Crossing, that's a travesty. We have 30 acres that's been sitting there, and promises from the mayor and the other group that he brought in to develop that.
Do you know what the mayor's, have you talked with the mayor?
I haven't had an opportunity to. He's still not talking to me because I'm of the thought process when the federal government offered the mayor of North Chicago, Lewis and Bluckley, a plum. His whole ideology was a semi-pro baseball team.
For that area?
For that section. So that tells me you don't have the best interest for your citizenry. You gotta have individuals that says, these are the things that we want. We need a drugstore in North Chicago.
Yes, you do.
We have 2 drugstores within 12 blocks from us, from North Chicago. So we're not a desert, a food desert. We just don't have amenities right at hand. Within 8 miles of us, we have Target. Lake Bluff is getting a Target. Lake Bluff has a Walgreens.
Yes, they do.
So, and they have a community under 6,000 individuals. So, again, you have to have a sense of area. You have to have a comprehensive plan that addresses these things.
But we had a prior guest last week we spoke to, Reverend Brooks, and he said that part of the problem is if you don't have you have renters mostly in North Chicago. Now I'm sure in Lake Bluff they're mostly homeowners.
Correct.
And this gentleman mentioned that when you have a problem, if you go down to the city and you want to talk about your water bill, they ask, well, we want to talk to the homeowner. So they're going to be have a little more leverage since they own the property.
No, I have to.
Than the renters, you don't think so?
No, because renters still have dead presidents in their pockets.
Yes.
So it's not a renter homeowner thing. It's this is my basket. If I'm a part of this basket, whether I rent or I stay here 1 minute or 1 week, I'm going to treat, if this is cultivated nice like it is, I want to keep it nice. Do you understand?
You may, but a lot of renters don't think like that. If they don't own it, they don't care.
Okay, but what you have to understand is, if you show them, and unfortunately, North Chicago, which is another part of the comprehensive plan, you don't leave buildings vacant.
It's true.
We are a part of, and I want to thank the mayor because it's with his knowledge that I know about this. It's called the National League of Cities. We, as an organization, have cookie cutter things you can go to. You hit the button. You can put in what the demographics is. They have fellows in Washington D.C. that know about everything. So all you do is you get the model, this is the model, and you come back to your shareholders and say, guys, I think this is the model. The model is, let's not have any vacant homes in our town. How can we fix that?
Okay.
Now, if the bank says, well, alderman or mayor, we don't have, that person didn't pay rent there. Okay, well, you get to keep it vacant and look for 2 months. But if it's vacant after 3rd month, the city's going to take that and we're going to put a body in there, a working body, so we get that, keep that on the tax roll. You don't let things get boarded up and continually. I think the city last year spent almost $600,000 to board up and cutting grass in North Chicago. That's ridiculous. Tara, how do you fix that when we have a recidivism problem with kids getting arrested and constantly going back and forth to jail? Let's put these people to work. But there's a whole I can tell you a list of things that we should do, but you have to have a leader and leaders and a community that sits down and says, this is the worst problem and let's address that. Homelessness is a bad problem. Recidivism is a bad problem. Kids going with no jobs in North Chicago, that's a problem. If you're working and you come home and you have something to be at, Dr. Brooks has several properties in North Chicago. He's helped a lot of folks. Him helping me is saying, Charles January, my apartment, those apartments over there cost you $1,100. I'm going to charge you $8. I'm going to charge you $6 because I can do it if you keep the yard clean. If you clean up the adjacent yards, something motivatively. Like, and I got to give her credit, former Alderman Valerie DeVos. She had a yard, keep your yard thing. That was beautiful. But we need a city, we need to keep that going.
So what is your proposal? Would you be willing to sit down with the mayor? I mean, when the position was available for the economic development person, did you apply for that?
I don't know, I wouldn't get to second base with him. And that's a shame. It's people from the community. Everybody that Mayor Rockingham is hiring right now is outside of our community. They have no vested interest.
Are they moving into the community?
No, ma'am. We have a chief of police that refused to move in. And not only he refused to move in, he resigned. And what they said is, we don't want our deputy chief to have it. So the city council, which 4 aldermen, 3 voted against, 4 voted for, said, you don't have to live within here. We're going to make you the chief of police consultant. So you don't have to follow our ordinance says you have to live within 25 miles of the city.
Okay, within 25. So you can live outside the city
Up to 25 miles.
Okay. Does he live within 25 miles?
Southside Chicago.
He lives all the way near Indiana. He's 2 minutes from Indiana.
So if there's an emergency, he can't get here.
It's no emergency. He's a part-time chief of police.
Well, do you think the mayor was aware of that?
The mayor knows that, fair aware, because aldermen, myself, and other community people have got up and spoke about it.
So
yes,
we don't have anyone qualified in this part of the state?
No, ma'am. We have lots of individuals qualified. We have a mayor and a current city council that agrees with what the mayor's doing that wants it this way. See, if you have ambiguity, a lot of people in the police department, we're $2 million over budget right now with overtime. There's things that they can do. You can win when you have chaos. See, if you're a city attorney or a police officer or a fireman or building and grounds, when you have ambiguity and no plan, a lot of money can be spent. Because you can say, oh, we have crime. We need overtime.
Speaking of that, we just had you guys just voted not to give the city council a raise and the mayor a raise. Is that correct?
That happened a month ago.
I think twice. It came up twice when I was there.
It came up again, and what happened was my wife, bless her heart, my mother-in-law passed away, and
I'm so sorry.
yeah, that was kind of troubling. But as my wife was gone, they brought it back up again, and the mayor broke the tie. So it was a 3-3.
Oh, the mayor can do that?
Yes, because he is the tiebreaker.
No, but I think that, can he be the tiebreaker if he stands to benefit from the vote?
You know, I haven't looked into that. I know that ethically that shouldn't happen.
I see.
But because we're home rule, as long as a majority with the mayor's vote says yes, it can happen.
Okay, because I know he did not vote the other 2 times.
No, he couldn't vote because my wife was there and it was a
I
4-3
see.
vote.
Okay.
But he took the opportunity when she wasn't there to bring it up. And he knew he had at least 3 votes. And he knows he was going to have 3 no votes. So he knew he was going to have the opportunity.
That
to
was
break it down.
amazing because just prior to that, the gas, the water bill
Yes.
went up 14%, something like
Yes.
that, you know. And the real estate, I guess you had a 4.9.
4.9.
4.9.
And the only reason why he
increase.
did 4.9 and not like last year where he went over 15% with all the different things that put together, because he knows that he's up for re-election in 2 years and he's trying to pad it, and once he gets back in again, that's what politicians do. They do the least that they can do to agitate the voter that's going to vote. And he has a block of folks that are going to vote for him. But when they're not going to vote if their pocketbook is hurting at the same time they're voting. So I'm going to, leave it calm, and then after I get in again, that's what all politicians
We had talked about this many times. The mayor was, as alderman, was 14 years?
14 years as an alderman.
14 years as an alderman.
Oh, he was an alderman.
Oh,
Yeah,
yes.
14 years.
Okay.
And he was one of the votes, not to interrupt you two, he was one of the votes that voted Lakehurst away from us. Lakehurst was part of North Chicago.
It was part of the city, the
Of North
boundary?
Chicago. Yes, was in the city of North Chicago. And what happened is Mayor Sabanjan and Mayor Kukula came up with a plan. And there were going to be some revenue sharing and stuff, and one part of it was going to stay in North Chicago and one part of it was going to stay to Waukegan. Well, it got around to the aldermen and they just voted it away. They gave it to Waukegan.
Amazing.
That's how it happened.
I didn't know the
Oh, yes.
boundaries of North Chicago
It was
extended
way
that far.
out here. Well, you have to understand, North Chicago right now is the only community that is landlocked now, because to our south belongs to the military, the richest, most beautiful, and I'm not knocking the Forest Preserve, but the Forest Preserve is the second most big part of property of North Chicago. And after the Forest Preserve, we're blocked. We can't have any of that land. So there's no growth. All we have, and North Chicago is a plum, with the inference we have water, we have rail, and we're 45 minutes from Chicago and 38
But
to
is there
40
any
minutes
way
from
to work with
Milwaukee.
the Navy? Because I know I was talking to Pastor Fletcher once, and he said that when he first joined the Navy, that it was just wonderful in North Chicago. You could go to
beautiful.
clubs and you could spend
Yes.
your money there.
That's right.
So is there any way we can bring that back?
The only way we can bring that back to this date, and I must be very, very earnest with you, is they see that crime has gone down.
Oh,
And,
crime is the issue.
Not just crime. They used to have sailors who would get robbed,
Yeah, he
hit
mentioned
over the head.
He
You
mentioned that.
can't do those things and expect individuals with money to stay in your community.
He did mention that the sailors would have,
Knocked in the head.
yeah, I was
Yes.
trying to find
Now
another
they
word.
have, I guess, the gate there now,
And you can't-
and civilians cannot go over. Because
Yeah.
the wife and I used to go over and bowl, you
Oh,
know,
sure.
and have dinner and
Well, the thing
a
is
lot
you-
of things.
Can't do
But
that
that's-
anymore?
We
No.
can't go on the base.
Well, see, and you have to realize Norfolk, Virginia, to me, is a model community. They are a military community.
Okay.
Great Lakes, North Chicago, is a military city. But when you don't, if you're a military city, in our backdrop at our city hall should be boats. Welcoming the United States Navy. It should show President, Department of Defense, Governor, city behind us. There should be murals of welcome you to Great Lakes, or North Chicago, home of the United States Navy. I hear the mayor talking about it, but there's no action plan with them. And for the Navy to give more than $1 million to Chicago public
yeah.
school system and not give the money to where you at home, that doesn't make sense.
I'm sorry, could you elaborate on that?
Yes, the United States Navy, Department of Defense, gave more than $1 million to Chicago public school system
This year?
last year or 2 years ago.
2 years ago.
Okay, and so why?
Just gave it to them. No rhyme or reason. When you're where your kids go to school, where you're based at, no economic aid to us.
Well, there was economic aid. They cut it. They used to give, am I correct?
Impact aid.
They
That's
used to give impact aid.
I'm not talking about,
Okay,
I'm talking
but
about an extra.
they're asking for results. They didn't feel that the kids were getting a substantial education, especially in the middle school and the high school. That tends to be, because I do believe until recently, until Learn 6 came, there was just Forrestal, which they were receiving an outstanding. No one was arguing about Forrestal's education.
Okay.
The question comes about the violence, the things that are going on at the middle school, and things that are not supposed to be going on that are going on. So they didn't want their kids part of that. I can understand that.
Well,
then it continued on into the high school. So that's not, well, wait a minute, we're not going to pay money to get these kind of results. You have a failing school district that had 9% ready for college. This is not our term. These are numbers that are produced by the state.
Right.
9% of the graduates are ready. And yet we hear a principal say, you know, we have 100% of our graduates going to college. Excuse me. You have 100% of the 43% that are graduating. Where are the other 37%? Okay, they didn't graduate because they dropped out before then. And then of those 43%, they're going to community college. No offense against community college, but I like to see these kids go to four-year colleges. So the Navy, to my understanding with the impact aid, said, we don't want to fund a situation like that. We don't want to fund an institution like that.
I have to agree with them, but I must say to
But
you.
why are they sending it to Chicago? That's what
But
I don't
the bottom line is, I'm a graduate 1980 at North Chicago Community High
It's
School,
changed.
and it has changed 180%. What you have to realize is, when I was there, we had a very diverse school. We had, majority of our kids were coming from outside of our community. They were coming here. They were officers, and
Oh.
my valedictorian is Jeff Gott. Today he's an aviation's aeronautics aerospace engineer
Wow.
from North Chicago. Yvonne Powell, she graduated with me in 1980. She's a doctor from North Chicago.
Dr. Cassandra Brooks.
Yes, from
Waddell
North
Jr.
Chicago.
Brooks.
Right.
Yes,
Yeah.
but
They
what you
all-
have to realize is, we have the potential, but when you have, and please don't say, I'm not saying bad things about a union, but you have to have, and Tara, I got to say this to you, not to blow your home, but when you were there, you at Forrestal, I think they call Forrestal champions. I can't remember what the kids
All-Stars.
were. All stars.
Yeah, that Dr. Brooks gave them that name, actually.
I'll have to replay that.
She had those children doing wonderful things. But what she did was, as an educator, she opened the children's minds. A mind is a terrible thing to waste.
Okay.
And when you open it, you have to have other second grade, third grade, fourth grade, fifth grade, sixth grade, through the term to continue that. And Tara would still be there if she played the politics and didn't educate. Not that Cassandra was doing anything wrong. It's just the mindset of the educators, and that's why she's trying to do her own thing now. I want to appreciate her for that. I must tell you, we've got to get, and citizenry, we need our children in school from 6 o'clock in the morning to 7 o'clock, 6 days a week.
That's true.
That's what we need
That's
to
true.
compete. Citizen, let me explain this to you. This is important. Charles January has had the opportunity to travel the world. China's average school day, Dr. Brooks, is 12 hours a day.
Okay.
You can't go room to room like Romper Room, changing the rooms. You got to educate, and you got to test, and you got to educate, and you got to test, and you got to have indicators. All of our wealthy communities outside of North Chicago are doing those things. They're testing. You know, they have there's a fork in the road. If you don't get this level of education, you're going to take these classes. If you do, they're keeping you in your college prep side,
Remedial.
and you move up. So you, at the end, you get it. You got educated. So even if you come out and go into the trades, I'm not going to say anything bad about youth bill.
Youth bill.
But I must say, I don't like it where it was. It was across the street from the high school. That made no sense to me.
Well, now it's in Green Bay School, is that correct?
Yeah,
Yes.
they were looking for a home. They couldn't find a home.
But Mr. Brooks,
It's so
You don't-
initially, I have to toot my own horn. It started right in Daisy's Resource
I heard
Development
that.
Center.
In the back.
In the
yard.
back.
That's because Dr. Brooks told me that's what that cement is back there for. That ground cement in the backyard.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, it started across the street. Then they moved to 1920 there.
Okay.
Then they moved to 137. You
Seven.
mentioned about the
Right.
building
137 at Force
Building,
at the
building 5, I guess, round the
correct.
one. Then they moved to Lindbergh, and so they're looking for a home.
Okay, but the
Doing
bottom
great
line
work,
is,
though.
and I agree with that, but you cannot put 16, 17, and 18-year-olds with 24-year-olds.
That's what you got.
You should not do that.
But don't they have that at youth build? Can't you-
Still,
Yeah, 16 to 24, you can
yeah,
be.
that's wrong. You're an adult. Your maturity level 18 and older. I'm with you. Stay over there. But with the mindset for the younger kids that's still molding, leave them up separate. Don't put them together. I'm for the trades coming to the high school at the junior and the senior year. Electrical trade, which Dr. Brooks tried, plumbing, all these things that a youth in North Chicago say, well, you know, I didn't get that education that I was really supposed to get, but I'm useful because I'm an apprentice union worker. I can go and do electric. I can do plumbing. I can do carpentry. I tried those things. I wasn't good at them. I did try them. I tried to hang up sheetrock, Dr. Brooks. It didn't work. It wasn't good. So I said, no, that profession is not for me. I didn't like electricity as a kid, playing with electric. I got shocked a couple times. I didn't like that. But I did try it. I just want for North Chicago, for the vocation, for any school system, once the kids gets to sophomore, junior year, let's teach them volunteerism, work ethic. Let's get them to work. Let's show them how to do this. And if that's his forte, fine.
North Chicago has moved quite a bit since I first got in the area. When I came in the area, there were 3 school districts.
Yes.
You know
yes.
about
Remember
that?
that.
Okay.
Yes. No,
2
I remember.
great
I've
school
heard about
districts
that.
and 1 high school district, 3 school districts. But tell about the limitations on why North Chicago is having trouble growing. One is the real estate values.
Dr. Brooks, I don't need values. I need the house.
You still
I need
get
everyone.
that's money coming in.
It is, but the bottom line is, you gotta change the mindset.
I know. Well,
you gotta clean up the area. You gotta galvanize what we have, and you gotta put you have to put ethics and practice into.
but can I elaborate? Lake Forest, Libertyville, so forth. They have $2 billion assessed valuation. North Chicago is in the millions, and if there's no tax base,
There you go.
you're limited in income. That's what I was
Absolutely.
trying to get at.
But
you
the
know.
bottom line is, the reason why we don't have a tax base is because we don't have leadership in place that's galvanizing the companies and saying, companies, please come to us because this is what we can offer. We can offer you a workforce of workers.
Well, you touched
the
on
people
that
wanna
before.
work.
You mentioned the high crime rate.
Yes.
That's one of the reasons why.
One of the reasons why they're not.
come
But
in.
again, you, and I have to say this, different companies, I think USAA was one of the companies that was thinking about coming to North Chicago. I heard from recruiting that they wanted to put a call center here.
Okay.
That would have been a wonderful thing. We have kids that can read, write, and spell and talk with education on the phone. But you look at where you have to put it. We have all these new police officers in North Chicago. Has crime gone down? No. There
So-
hasn't been killings like there's been,
Yes.
but the crime hasn't gone down. So
So which crime are you addressing? Because to the public, it appears because there haven't been so many killings and the drive-bys are down, that the crime is down. So which
No,
crime
we
are you
have-
addressing?
we have drug sales. We have prostitution. We have just things that are derelict to community growth. I don't want you to live next to a crack house. Marijuana is off the chain in North Chicago. You could buy the best marijuana in North Chicago. I want that stopped. As a police department, if you know where it's at, clean it up. See, I have to say this, as one of my ideals was when I was running for mayor, and it's still an ideal, the mayor's well going to have it, call the city of Chicago that has probably 16,000 lights. You know, Chicago's lit up. Light North Chicago up.
Well, we were just talking
You-
about that. It's not
Right,
just
right,
North
that's
Chicago.
right.
Many communities are
Right.
cutting back on the electricity. But, you know, the mayor says, I'm talking on behalf of, to be an advocate here, okay, that he is trying to bring businesses into North Chicago. I don't know what his plan is, but he has mentioned on several occasions, I know when I went to some of the meetings, that he is going to entice, and he tries to meet with companies to bring their businesses to North Chicago. Do you have another plan that he should implement maybe?
There are Elmwood Park, Stone Park, towns that have what we have, sometime in larger quantities, but their economic zones are wonderful. You have to sometimes tell them, we're not going to take, for the first 2 years, we're going to give you a TIF so you don't have to pay. But put our people to work, okay? We don't have the county, and I went to the county board, and I made the statement at the county board, there's no recidivism problem like in Wisconsin. Wisconsin is working. The people that commit crimes in Wisconsin, there's second chance programs. We don't have that here. We have the Rita Mayfield, and I want to thank her for bringing that up, that, you know, you can't, as an employer, ask on an application, have you been incarcerated before? That doesn't help. Because as soon as you leave, me as an employer, I have to hire a company to do a background check now. Now I have to spend money. Or if you have it listed, okay, how long has it been ago? 20 years ago? Are we talking 2 years? You were a kid. It's not even those kid back then when you were 16, 17 years old. Maybe you've grown up. Let's give you a chance. But when you have nothingism, their lives have to be of crime.
Well, you know, North Chicago has many churches.
Oh, yes.
And they have many ministers.
Yes, they do.
And they all, if you go, I mean, this summer, I can't tell you how many churches I visited and I worked with. Shiloh, Corinthian, Genesis, they, you know, Mount Zion. Is that am I saying it right? The one across the street from you?
Christian Valley.
Christian Valley.
Christian Valley, but the
Mount Sinai.
Mount Sinai. Mount Sinai. All right, so is there a way maybe the mayor or you or someone can organize all the ministers and see what we can do? Because maybe we've got to go back to the basics.
Well, I'm going to
maybe
say
we've got
to you,
go
and
to the basics.
I don't want to sound negative. I appreciate every minister, but they only have their own vision, and they don't live here. See,
the ministers don't live here.
No, none of them. I think
Well, I know
Pastor
Pastor Fletcher lives
Floyd,
here.
He lives here now.
But his church was in Lake
no,
Forest.
Fletcher just moved.
Yeah, he moved back to Zion.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we have one minister assistant. He's called Reverend N.S. Floyd. He lives in North Chicago.
Associate minister.
Associate mayor. Wonderful man.
But Markham lives here.
Markham. Yes.
Yes,
Markham.
Reverend
Yes.
Markham lives here.
Outstanding man
Yes,
like
he
him.
is.
Yes.
Okay.
He lives here, but for majority of them don't live here. So you can't tell me community and talk about what you're going to do if you're not here. You're not part of the problem, part of the solution. Be part of the solution. And if you live here, see, you're not going to. My thing is, Rosemont, for instance, their full-time employees have to live in the city. Look at Rosemont. It's beautiful.
So you think if we had an ordinance to require city workers
well, I have to,
to
say
live in
to
the
you,
city?
I fought with Mayor Motley of Waukegan about this. He said, sometimes, Charles, you got to go outside the community. But when everybody's from outside the community, I want that 18-year-old kid that's never been in trouble in North Chicago to apply for a police officer in North Chicago and go through the classes. And if he can do it, I want to see him in North Chicago, because I know he has a vested interest in North Chicago.
Okay.
Don't go outside my community and bring a lot of folks in that's taking money and they're going 3 communities over.
Do we have
They don't
any
live
police
here.
officers who have come through our community?
We have Lieutenant Brain, who's lieutenant.
Okay.
He's lived a long time in North Chicago. We have Sergeant Thomas, who lives in North Chicago.
But incoming. You know,
Incoming.
all
But
the
these
ones
young
that have been
kids,
hiring,
these
the
young,
ones. They
we
don't- I
have a
don't
lot
think we
of young
have one.
people who could have been.
I think we have one.
Okay.
I can't remember his name. He's a new one that came. His family, he's from North Chicago.
Okay, but that's progress.
But that's not progress when you have 14 other new ones that don't.
We have 15 new police
We have 13,
officers?
13, I think, 13 new police officers come in North Chicago.
Oh.
Yes. So, but the thing is to go, and I don't want to be all over the board, but there's so many problems. Master list, mayor, alderman, master list saying this is what's first that needs to be fixed, and let's address it. Citizenry, get involved. If you get involved, we have no choice but to do it. We have to get it.
Is there a plan to I think it was getting that to encourage businesses to come in North Chicago. Is their
Thank you.
plan?
They
Because
kind
I mentioned that because you probably know of a young black businessman by the name of Rogers. He had a towing business,
yes, I know who it is.
and I guess he had difficulty in trying to get the place on Martin Luther King and Sherman.
One of the reasons why he had difficulties.
And what's that? He left, went to Waukegan. Now he has 200 cars. He got one of the largest dealerships in the area on Grand Avenue. Matter of fact,
He's a car dealership?
Yes, it's used
Used
car,
car.
yes. Used
Okay.
car, yeah.
Really?
200 cars. Now, the mayor did go to the opening. I went to the opening. He went there, but I don't think they could face him, and he didn't allow him to come into North Chicago.
Oh, he wouldn't allow zoning for a used car lot?
Well, he wouldn't. They had particular problems. January would know. I don't know
Okay.
specific, you know.
Okay.
But I know he wanted to come in, and he wouldn't allow him. And they couldn't work out anything. He had to go to Waukegan. And Motley was there and just opened up his doors for him.
Oh, sure. But you got to understand, and I said this, and Dr. Burst even kind of scolded me. I said, you know, if it doesn't work for me, we should merge to be part of Waukegan.
Well,
It's not about the politics.
know.
It's
Oh,
about,
it is
well,
about
let me,
the
But let me
politics.
explain what I'm trying
But
to say.
tell the
is
truth now, it used to be South
South
Waukegan.
Waukegan. But what you
North
have to
Chicago.
that was the
realize-
name of it?
Yes.
The official name?
official
Yeah,
name.
way back.
Way back then. But see,
Okay.
if you
Maybe
have
1800.
more than 122,000 people aggregately like Elgin,
Okay.
we would get more functionality. Would get more viability. We would get more ability to do things because there's more revenue sharing.
Yes, but Waukegan is going to say what is to their advantage
That's
to
correct.
merge with North Chicago.
That's right.
They're doing just fine. And they may look at it as we're taking on an added risk.
Yes.
And most people want to lower that risk.
Right. Well, the
Okay.
police department, again, we should have some functionality, meaning there should be community meetings with the police department. There is none.
With the wait, are you referring to the so
North
that our
Chicago
audience is
Police
on-
Department.
Are you saying the North Chicago Police should have a meeting with the Waukegan Police?
No, North
Oh,
Chicago
okay.
Police should have a meeting with taking care of the citizens in North Chicago.
Now, don't they show up at the city council building? Because I've seen the chief.
They're
at
only
the,
at the meeting at the request of the mayor, and that's to keep civil obedience.
Oh,
you know,
I see.
Not for,
When
enforcement
you
of
mentioned
law.
civil obedience, the city council passed an ordinance. You were there, I guess,
Yes,
on the
I was.
council. When a person get unruly, it'd be a $75 fine or
Up to
something,
you're addressed.
and up to
jail.
6 months in jail.
Yes.
Well,
It was that bad.
I've attended the last, since September, city council meeting. Must be working because I haven't seen anybody unruly.
Well, they don't
So,
want to go to jail.
They must be working. I can say that must have worked because I don't see any problems with that.
Tara mentioned about ministers, get involved. Ministers at one time, well, I guess that's what the Darius killing that back in November
I
11.
remember that.
They spoke about the city mayor and the city council on accountability. There's no accountability
No,
there.
okay. We have a police department right now that's running with a part-time chief. He says he's the chief. He comes to things. He spends a lot of money. And let me be not pragmatic, but just pointed.
Mhm.
When you're an executive of a city or an executive of a company,
Mhm.
it's CBA, cost benefit analysis. How much does it cost? What's the benefit? And let's do some more analysis.
Mhm.
If we just took that approach, I have, in the city of North Chicago, we as a city have probably 8 or 9 people over $100,000 as income.
Okay.
That's not right. When your city citizens don't make $35,000 a year,
Okay.
what's the benefit in that? So
That-
again, it's wrong. I want a city that's open to the people. We should have 2 days a week. If the average citizen doesn't get home till 7:30 at night, how do you run a city 9 to 5, Monday through Friday?
You're referring to the business hours.
Business
of the
hours
city
for the
hall.
city should be open to the citizens. Not that you get there on what time you want. I used to be able to go into City Hall of North Chicago as a citizen, walk in the vending area before I was an alderman. Can't do that. They locked that area up. building belongs to the citizens. Now, I believe the inner offices where the mayor and all different people should be on
Well,
the
maybe there was a
lock and key.
security reason for
No
doing that.
security reason for
The alderman's
vending area.
office?
The alderman, you're supposed to, as a citizen, I want to be able to get to my alderman. Now I can't.
Well, let me ask you, because you're with Shields Township now.
Yes, ma'am.
So I was wondering, does Shields Township, do you work with the alderman in North Chicago? And what benefit, what is the purpose of Shields Township to the citizens of North Chicago?
Okay, great question. The benefit, township government is supposed to be for the least, for non-incorporated areas.
Okay.
They handle the highway, the roads. They handle if there's a person that's without something, food, clothing, and shelter. The township mission is to facilitate those things.
Okay.
To the very worst off people. Okay? And the township, we unfortunately have 2 townships in North Chicago.
Right,
We have Waukegan Township
right.
that tries to do everything. And if they've got they're larger than
A larger
Shield-
budget? Mhm.
Larger budget than
Okay.
Shield Township. At Shield Township, we have a supervisor now that's doing her best to get things. We just got
Miss
a grant.
Cynthia Maloney.
Maloney.
Right.
We just got a grant we changed the program for transportation.
Okay.
And she's trying to roll that out. She's got some quality food
Right.
process that she just got in place. That's a wonderful thing.
Right. Now, for those who don't know, you can, if you're in need, you can go to Shields Township on Wednesdays
Yes.
from 11 to 3.
And
or
there's a
11
food pantry.
And there's a food pantry.
Yes.
Right.
And
That's
we do
wonderful.
have meetings every third Thursday of the month at 6:30.
Is that here or is that
That's
Shield?
at Shield Township.
Okay.
And we try to have some meetings. In the past, there were meetings given in North Chicago, but we didn't get the citizens to come out.
Now, are the meetings the third Thursday
Third
at 6:30?
Thursday
Are
at
they
6:30.
open to the
They're
public?
open to the public,
Okay.
yes.
Okay.
And we're accountable to the citizenry. We get elected at large every 4 years. I got appointed, and then I got elected with the appointment to that board.
But do you all work with the aldermen of North Chicago?
We can. We can work with the aldermen of North Chicago, Lake Bluff, our township is entrusted.
I
We
see.
haven't been asked to this date that I know of. And I believe Gail, when Gail was a supervisor, she was very instrumental in coming in and helping things in North Chicago. She really did a wonderful job
I see.
at that. When people ask me all the time, they say, well, Charles, do you consider yourself a Democrat or an independent? I'm an independent. At one
Okay.
time, I was a Republican. My views changed. Today, I am an independent. I like some of the Democratic thought process. I like some of the Republican thought process. I think we should get away from, at the local levels,
Yes.
partisan politics.
Yes.
We need everyone to help.
Yes.
That's what we need.
Yes.
And I must say, that's not happening. And if we can get that to change, Dr. Brooks, Tara, if we can get these things to change, what we could do more of, we win. We just really do.
I mentioned about I asked a question about the food pantry, I guess, at a meeting that, automatic meeting that Ms. Maloney came to. With the people in North Chicago hurting, why have the pantry in Lake Bluff?
Well,
Why
they're
not
trying
have
to-
it in North Chicago?
I have to say, Dr. Brooks, she did
She
try
tried
to
to
go.
justify it, said they hungry people too in Lake Bluff.
Yeah, but truthfully, she
'cause it's a
did try.
township.
She did try to
Yeah,
go
township.
to North Chicago and look for a place to go and bring a satellite. But as you well know, Waukegan Township has a satellite already at the city.
Does Waukegan have a
Okay.
pantry for the poor as well?
I think Waukegan not only has a pantry, they have a voucher system. So they can
Oh.
give you things you can use other facilities.
I happen to
larger.
volunteer at the pantry
Oh.
in Shields.
Okay.
I started last week,
Okay.
and we only had
Thank
4.
you.
I did, but now I'm only there from 1 to 3,
Okay.
and during that time only 5 people came, and they were from North Chicago, all
Oh,
5.
Okay.
All 5 were from North Chicago, and we only had 5 coming that time. And the shelves are full.
Okay.
And they're lacking on meat. They're trying to get more meats in, as you know.
Right.
But everything else was full.
And no
But
restrictions, and just so you live in a township?
yes, and they don't ask for anything else. And in
Not
fact,
by
she
income
said,
or anything else?
she said if you came there and if you didn't qualify because you came, they will still give you food. Because Mrs. Maloney, she just wants to help.
Yes,
So
she
she
does.
doesn't put you through a 50 degree. You just come in. And actually, I don't even know if they ask you for ID. You just sign in.
Okay.
You come in, you sign in on the second floor right off of Waukegan Road. Is that
Yes,
Waukegan Road?
yes, Waukegan. And
Right.
I must say to you, I want to thank Costco for being so generous in giving us.
Substantial.
But we need
They
a
do.
van for our township so we can do some things with.
You
And
might
I'm
want to
gonna
plug that out there if
We're
somebody has a
gonna.
van.
If you have an extra van, a newer van, 2004 plus, and you'd like to donate that to Shield Township, we would appreciate it. I'm talking to companies now to
Yes.
see if we can get some things done. But I would like to, educationally, Tara, I've made some phone calls. I'm reaching out to try to get our kids some iPads and fire and all these different things that they can have. Because I gave one of my cousins I gave her, and she's 6, I gave her my cell phone on the internet. Oh my, she was everywhere. So
We got about a minute left. Well, I guess maybe we don't. But I want to get, while you think there would be advantageous to North Chicago to have 2 Januaries representing in North Chicago.
we are right now. My wife's the alderman, bless her heart. She's really trying, and I'm the trustee. And I believe in the next couple of years, I'm going to probably run for mayor again.
So you're going to say that out here now?
Yes.
You are going to in North Chicago?
Again, yes.
Okay.
And I love.
As an independent.
Yes, sir.
So he heard it first.
You heard it first.
Right here on Community
But the thing I
Forum.
want to know.
And the election is 2016.
16?
16.
2016.
Yeah.
That's correct.
Yeah. Okay, you wanted to say something.
I just want to say again, citizens, thanks Dr. Brooks for having this show. I am going to be bringing back our show back to North Chicago. We took a little hiatus, but I see a need because our park districts in needs help, and our township.
Okay.
And thank you.
Thank you very much again for taking time for your busy schedule.
Thank you.
And thank you, Tara, again.
Thank you so much. Thank you, trustee. I should call you trustee now,
That's
right?
fine.
Okay, I just want to make sure we get that title out there right.
Ladies and gentlemen, this has been Community Forum. My name is Dr. Waddell Brooks Sr., your host.